Yeah, the architecture of gender, beyond building a better biology, beyond the binary. I mean, that's my theme. Trying to break this out of boxes, and particularly the gender box. And I try to put it in, say, the theme of architecture, because it's about the building blocks of life, the building blocks of sex and gender. And so I started off with the architectural theme. I'm thinking about buildings. Do buildings actually have gender? There are so many ways in which they present an aspect to us, as we do as individuals and as people, masculine or feminine. And you look at different buildings. Is it a masculine building, a feminine building, or perhaps this one, is it a bit of both? And I was talking to Jason earlier. In fact, that building was a bit like the mosque in Cordoba, which is a wonderful combination of both. This one, I loved it. Somebody put in a blog post and called it the blob. And it's right next to this phallic symbol in the main square there. But are harsh and pointy masculine things and soft and curvy feminine? And why is that already, a judgment on masculine and feminine? Yeah, architecture, men and women, massive glass ceiling. Men outnumber women in architecture by a huge proportion. And is that to do with the masculine and feminine differences? Why are men better equipped, supposedly, for architecture? Or is it just the tough climate they have to compete in? There's a wonderful aspect of something called the cotton ceiling, but I won't go on to that now. But, there's a slide skipped. Oh well. Yeah, spatial awareness. That's an aspect of architecture as well. There's the idea that men are better at spatial awareness, car parking and all that shit. But women are better at describing things. They're better at language, and particularly in colours and things. There's this lovely thing down there. Men, shoes and shopping. Men buy more shoes than women now. It's totally blown things there. Oh, God, this is so hard. 20 seconds, crap that. Anyway, yeah, gender, the architecture of gender, everyone calls God the great architect if you're involved in Masons and Judeo-Christianism. But they talk, the creation of Adam and Eve, or the Adam and Steve, as some of the Christians used to say. I can't even see this. Yeah, in the first 7 weeks in the womb, we're all actually hermaphrodite, until we actually take this kind of testosterone shower that either feminizes or masculinizes us. Yeah, gender used to refer to just grammar, but in fact it's this whole aspect of who we are. We start off as sexual beings, but actually then we develop through hormones into gendered beings. Various cultures, everything from religious cultures, spiritual cultures, through to the modern world, actually define anything from 3 genders all the way up to 63 genders. Sex and gender, are they 2 different things, or are they the same thing? Is it culture that makes us gendered? Nature and nurture. Take alternative people who don't even fit in the boxes. They fit right outside the box. The woman on the right is not a woman. That's a man. He's not even a trans man. That's a male model from Bosnia who actually models as a woman and was voted the 96th sexiest woman in the world, even though they are male and identify as male. Then you have something called the gender spectrum that people think, there's masculine at one end, feminine at the other end. But what happens in the middle ground? You can't really plot, a butch or masculine woman and then an effeminate man as if they're both near the middle ground. This gender fence, we're not just either side of a gender fence at all. When you look at masculine and feminine, they're not this one-line continuum. They're really actually a pair of parallel lines which have a huge area of overlap. Probably 90% of what women are and what men are is identical, and the potential within both is to be anything within them. There's just a small extremity at either end where 1 or 2 are not the same thing. And again, people are outside those spectrums. I love this food-related genderbread. The genderbread person is a wonderful little comic way of looking at the fact that we're not just sex nor gender, but we're actually about our orientation, our sexuality, but also our physical expression to the world and our identity, which sits within our head. People say that, sex is between the legs, but gender is between the ears. But this kind of idea that biological determinism, we're born one thing and we are that thing for life, or that we're born part of this binary that says we are man or we are woman. But I say fuck the binary, I'm sorry, I apologise for the language, not really. But within the human species, the only thing that really is a binary is reproductivity, because you do need man and woman who are actually fertile to actually produce a child. But you can actually, within IVF these days, actually have 3 parents. The gender galaxy. For me, this is like you can't plot it on a line. You can't even plot it on a circle. You could plot it in a spherical infinite galaxy, perhaps, the variation in gender. And, my vision of the future is very kind of sci-fi futuristic, where we're pan-gendered and anything can happen and anyone can express themselves in any way they like. And not conformity to some futuristic everyone's the same, but diversity in the future. That's just a wonderful Venn diagram trying to express the different ways in which we are sexed and gendered in terms of our sexuality. And the number of options on there is already probably 20 different options described on how we actually fancy people or who we identify as. So sex is not really, to me, a simple biology, not something deterministic that we're stuck with when we're born. Intersex people identify differently very often to the surgery that forces them into a body that they're given at birth. When I was born, I was told I was one gender, and then an hour later they said, oh no, you're the other gender. But life throws these curveballs at you. Transgender itself is another spectrum, even within the spectrum of gender. And of all the different trans people I know probably 100 plus in Norwich, half of them disagree with me and say, Katy, you're the wrong kind of trans. Because there are so many people who say there's this type of trans, that type of trans, that type of trans, etc. The variety, even within that, is amazing. But the nice thing about gender variant people, to me, is that they're bisexual, they're pansexual, because you start off in life, first off, beginning to understand, well, you don't have any gender to start with, then someone tells you you're pink or blue, raised boy, girl. And then you begin to have a gender identity, and you can't even have a sexuality until you've discovered who you are as gender. And sexuality itself is just another label. And this is, to me, is about the LGBT alphabet soup. A massive list. It's not just lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender, intersex and queer. That's my current list. It's got about 57 names in it to describe different genders and different sexualities. And at the end of the day, I just want to be a human being.